Year 1274. A massive Mongol invasion fleet sails across the Sea of Japan, heading straight for the island of Tsushima. Hundreds of ships carry a mixed force of Mongol, Chinese, and Korean soldiers. This is the first major attempt by the Mongol Empire to conquer Japan. On Tsushima, a tiny Japanese garrison prepares for battle. Just 80 samurai and their retainers under the command of the island's governor, Sō Sukekuni. They know the truth, they are hopelessly outnumbered, and no reinforcements will come. Yet they choose to fight. To understand the madness of what's about to unfold on Tsushima's beaches, we need to look west, to the very heart of Asia. Here rose a power unlike anything the world had ever seen, the Mongol Empire, forged by the genius of Genghis Khan. By 1206, his grandson Kublai Khan ruled an empire stretching from the Pacific Ocean to the Carpathian Mountains of Europe. From his luxurious court in Xanadu, Kublai dreamed of total domination. The Mongols believed heaven itself had destined them to rule the world. There were only two types of states, conquered and rebellious. On the far eastern horizon lay one last prize that still eluded Kublai, Japan. Why Japan? First, rumors claimed it was a land rich in gold. Conquering it would cut off trade with enemies and add new soldiers to the Khan's ranks. But above all, it was about principle. The great Khan tolerated no defiance. His army was the hammer of his will. The Mongol war machine was likely the most advanced military force on earth. Its commanders mastered combined warfare, coordinating cavalry, infantry, and siege engineers with terrifying precision, guided by drums and gongs. They waged psychological war, turning captives into human shields, leaving pyramids of skulls to terrify survivors. And they had a new weapon that would change the face of battle forever: gunpowder. Iron bombs, hurled by hand or catapult, could shatter formations and morale with a single thunderous blast. Now, that storm was about to crash upon Japan. Meanwhile, Japan was a world apart. Under the Kamakura shogunate, it was a fiercely independent nation ruled by the warrior class, the samurai. For them, war was not just survival, but ritual, art, and honor, governed by a strict code that would later be known as Bushido, the way of the warrior. Loyalty, honor, and self-sacrifice defined their world. Battles often began with a lone samurai riding forward, announcing his name and lineage before challenging a worthy opponent. These were duels of champions, spectacles of skill, refined over generations with the bow and the curved, legendary katana. But nothing could have prepared them for the war the Mongols were about to unleash. In 1266, Kublai Khan sent Japan a letter: submit, pay tribute, or be destroyed. For the samurai elite, this was an unthinkable insult. They refused, and in some accounts, even executed the Khan's envoys. The message was clear. For Kublai, there could only be one response: invasion. By 1274, shipyards in Korea had produced a colossal fleet, between 800 and 900 vessels carrying 20,000 to 40,000 men, Mongol cavalry, Chinese infantry, and conscripted Korean sailors. The strategy was simple: seize the stepping stone islands between Korea and Japan, beginning with Tsushima. Governor Sō Sukekuni had perhaps 80 mounted samurai, supported by a few hundred retainers. Outnumbered 100 to 1, they still prepared to make their stand. Many wrote death poems, quiet words before the storm. They weren't fighting to win. They were fighting for honor. At dawn on November 5, 1274, the Mongol fleet landed at Komoda Beach. The invasion of Japan had begun. Sukekuni may have attempted to follow tradition, seeking single combat. The Mongols answered with a storm of arrows. When one Japanese warrior rode out, calling for a duel, Mongol archers riddled him with arrows before he could draw his sword. To the Mongols, this was not ritual combat, it was war. Realizing this clash was not just a battle of men but of worlds, Sukekuni gave his final order, a desperate charge straight into the enemy's heart. 80 samurai and their followers smashed into the Mongol front lines. Their superior armor and razor-sharp swords tore through lightly armed infantry. Even a high-ranking Mongol officer fell to Sukekuni's men. But numbers told the tale. The sky darkened with volleys of arrows. Then came terror weapons, tetsuho, iron bombs filled with gunpowder and shrapnel. Explosions shattered discipline, panicked horses, and deafened samurai. Beating gongs and war drums added to the chaos. The beach became a slaughterhouse. One by one, the defenders fell. 67-year-old Sukekuni led a final charge before he and his men were cut down. Nearly all the samurai of Tsushima died where they stood. The Mongols then swept across the island, massacring civilians and burning villages. Yet Sukekuni's sacrifice was not in vain. Small boats escaped, carrying a vital message to the mainland: the invasion has begun. Thanks to this warning, Japan had time to prepare. When the Mongols later anchored their fleet at Hakata Bay, Japanese defenders launched daring night raids in small boats, burning ships and harassing the invaders. The stalemate dragged on until nature intervened. A ferocious storm ripped through the crowded Mongol fleet. Ships collided, shattered, and sank. Thousands drowned. The Japanese called the storm Kamikaze, the divine wind. The great Mongol invasion was broken. Though the Mongols returned in 1281 with an even larger force, possibly over 100,000 men, they met the same fate. Japan was saved by samurai valor and by the divine wind. The story of Tsushima is a paradox, a crushing military defeat that became a spiritual triumph. Sukekuni and his men all died, but their sacrifice shattered the myth of Mongol invincibility. They proved that even the greatest empire on earth could be resisted. This legend, combined with the miracle of the Kamikaze, forged the belief that Japan was a divine land, protected by gods and defended by warriors of unmatched courage. The Mongol invasions failed. But the memory of Tsushima lives on, as one of the greatest last stands in samurai history.